Okay, let's set the scene. Imagine it's January 2026. A single order comes out of the White House, and bam! It sends absolute shockwaves around the entire planet. We're talking about a decision that could unravel decades of global cooperation and totally redraw the map of world power.
66. That's the number. The number of international organizations that the president has just ordered a full and complete withdrawal from. I mean, this is a move unlike anything we've ever seen, and it has kicked off an absolutely furious debate.
And that really gets us to the heart of it, right? Is this a brilliant, bold move to put America's interests first? Or is it a disastrous retreat from the world stage? We're going to deconstruct a formal debate that went head-to-head on this exact topic, breaking down the best arguments from both sides.
All right, so first up, let's explore the case for leaving. The people who support this argue that this isn't about chaos at all. No, they say this is a smart, calculated move to put American interests right back where they should be. Number one.
So, the absolute core of this argument is the idea that a lot of these international groups have just gone way too far. They've strayed from their original missions and are now seen as stepping on the basic right of a country to govern itself.
And see, the way they frame this is so important. The pro-withdrawal side sees this not as an attack, but as an act of self-defense. It's all about a nation taking back its power to make its own choices, without being bossed around by organizations they feel have become way too political and have just overstepped their bounds. Next up, you guessed it, we're going to follow the money. And this is a really powerful point that connects directly with that America First philosophy. It's all about making sure taxpayer money is being spent wisely.
Look, it really boils down to a simple question of priorities. The argument goes like this. Why are we sending billions of dollars to these big international groups that aren't always effective and frankly aren't very transparent when that same money could be put to work right here at home, on our roads, our security, our jobs?
Now, this last point is maybe the most surprising one. The argument here is that leaving isn't about the US becoming some kind of hermit kingdom, totally cut off from the world. No, it's actually a strategic play to force a much-needed reset.
So the thinking is, hey, the current system is kind of broken, and as long as the US keeps showing up and footing the bill, nothing's ever going to change. A dramatic exit, they argue, is the only way to shock the system into real reform. But of course, that's just one side of the coin. Let's see how the other side sees this exact same move.
Okay, let's flip it around. The case for staying says that this withdrawal isn't strategic at all. It's a huge mistake, a massive miscalculation that's going to have some serious long-term costs for American power and for the whole world's stability.
So the biggest argument against leaving comes down to a really simple rule of power politics. If you're not in the room where the decisions are being made, then you can't influence the rules. It's as simple as that.
And this really gets to the core fear, doesn't it? By walking away, the U.S. isn't just giving up its seat at the table, it's pretty much handing it over to its rivals. And countries like China are more than ready to jump into that leadership role. And you can bet they'll start writing the rules on everything from technology to trade in a way that helps them, not the U.S.
Now, this next argument goes right for the jugular of the wasteful spending idea. The claim here is that those membership fees, they're actually a bargain when you compare them to the potential costs of not being involved.
It's that classic saying, penny wise and pound foolish. Yeah, you might save some money on dues today, but what's the price tag on a global pandemic that could have been stopped early by a well-funded WHO? What's the cost of messy trade disputes because standards aren't aligned? The savings, they say, are basically an illusion.
And for their last big point, the stay side takes that whole shock therapy idea head on. They argue that if you actually want to fix something, you don't do it by walking away and hoping it gets better.
What they're saying is, look, real change, the kind that actually sticks, doesn't happen because you issue an ultimatum. It comes from the slow, hard, and sometimes frustrating work of building alliances, negotiating, and leading from the inside. Walking away isn't a power move, it's just giving up.
So we've heard both sides. Now for the really fun part. Where do these two worldviews smash right into each other? This is where we get to the core disagreements about how power even works in the 21st century.
I love this because it just lays it all out so clearly. This isn't just a simple policy debate. It's a fundamental split in philosophy. One side sees power as something concrete you have, like a big economy or a strong military. The other side sees power as something you do, like shaping the rules of the game from the inside.
So you might be wondering, okay, if you leave all these huge organizations, what's the plan? Well, the pro-withdrawal side has an answer for that. It's called mini-lateralism. The whole idea is to ditch the slow, bureaucratic 190-country organizations for smaller, more agile groups of countries that actually agree on things so you can tackle problems fast and get stuff done.
All right, so we've heard the arguments and the counter-arguments. The big question is, after all that, who actually won this debate? A formal judge had to make the call based on the logic, the evidence, and who made the more persuasive case.
And the winner was the side arguing against withdrawal. But hold on, because just knowing who won isn't the most interesting part. The real lesson here is in why they won. That's where we get the insight.
And when you dig into the judge's reasoning, it becomes crystal clear. The stay side won because they successfully argued that while, yes, the problems with these organizations are very real, the proposed solution of a mass withdrawal was like a cure that's worse than the disease. They were just way more convincing when they laid out the concrete long-term dangers of leaving versus the more speculative benefits of walking away.
Okay, so when you strip everything else away, this entire debate, all the points and all the counterpoints, really just boils down to one final massive question. A question that's been around forever.
And that's really it, isn't it? This isn't just about 66 organizations or one political decision. It's a timeless dilemma about how we deal with imperfect systems. Do you tear it all down and hope something better grows in its place? Or do you roll up your sleeves and commit to the slow, often painful work of making things better from the inside? There's no easy answer to that one. Thanks for tuning in.